Hey there friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today I want to go over whether or not you should be farming the expert version of the Nether activity in Destiny 2 right now. And the short answer is probably not, but there is also a major caveat, so I want to go over all of the reasons why or why not in this video. Now, first and foremost, there are 4 types of episodic weapons that you can chase this season. There is the base version. There's also a shiny version, which has 2 different sets of perks as well as 2 different origin traits. It has the main origin trait for the season, Willing Vessel, which says dealing damage or defeating targets with this weapon gradually grants increased stability, handling, reload speed, and charge rate. This effect gradually decreases over time, but is gained more quickly while near allies. If you get the shiny version, you also get the Runneth Over origin trait, which says reloading near allies overflows the magazine, bows receive faster draw time, and swords receive faster charge rate. So not only do you have the base version and then the shiny, but you also now have an adept version, which is only available in the expert version of the Nether. Then from there, you also can get a shiny version of the adept weapons as well. The major problem is that chasing the shiny versions of the adept weapons is insanely time consuming and not worth it for the majority of players. It is such a low drop rate to not only get the weapon that you want from all of the available episodic weapons in Act 1, but you also then need to get the perks that you want, as well as you need to get it to be shiny. So that chance of that happening is extremely low and not something I would recommend for most players. If you want an adept version, that's fine, but even then the drop rates are so low that it might not be worth chasing. I was going after some of the adept versions and I was playing on expert difficulty, and I got all swords for like several runs in a row, and it was just very, very frustrating because that's probably the least exciting weapon for me personally in this collection. So because of that, it just doesn't feel worth it. Another thing to remember is that when you're chasing the weapons, you can only get them at the end of every encounter. You only get adepts from the chest after beating the boss on that area. You don't get them from the random chests around the map. So in order to farm, you have to go through a full encounter every single time. Now this isn't so bad because there are some also misconceptions about the expert version. One, it is not that difficult for the first encounter. The way that the expert version works is it is increasing difficulty. So the first encounter is one where you will be at the level likely of the encounter. You won't see a bunch of enemies that are higher than you. Then from there, you go to the second encounter, it gets a bit more difficult, and the third one is also more difficult than that. But I don't think the difficulty is even a problem on the third encounter either. It is one that I have done with random players from Fire Team Finder without much difficulty outside of people falling off the map consistently. That being said, it is rather time consuming. So you can make an entire run for a expert version of the Nether, and it takes like 30 to 40 minutes depending on how coordinated your team is, how quickly they go through everything. And keeping in mind, you can only get the adept versions from the final chest after the boss, and all that time you get 3 possible chances at adept weapons, trying to chase down the weapon you want, the rolls you want, and then also the potential for a shiny as well. And so all of that leads me to think that it's just not going to be worth it for the vast majority of players. Now, the one exception is that you can farm that first encounter. Like I said, there's an increasing difficulty within it. So if you have a dedicated team, it's hard to do with randoms. You don't want to bail after the first encounter if you're using Fire Team Finder. But if you find a team that wants to farm, you can just speed run the first encounter, the first area, and go through the activities on there, the little quests that you have to do, and finish those super quick, get to the boss, kill him, and it probably will take you less than 10 minutes to get a guaranteed adept version of one of the weapons it might even take you only less than 5 minutes, depending on how fast your team is, how coordinated you are. The loading will be a big part of that, depending on if you're on PC and console. That being said, though, even then, you are going to be farming for quite a while to get the weapon, the role you want, and that's not even including a shiny. So if you want a shiny, if you want that second runneth over origin trait, you're better off just using the Tomb of Want, just farming the base activity, and just getting as many chests as possible. Chests that are random across the map are not even worth picking up in the expert version of the Nether, because you might as well just be playing the regular at that point. And so it is incredibly frustrating, in my opinion, the lack of total rewards, especially if you are playing and then you have the risk of not completing the activity because your team runs out of lives and you don't get that final chest at the very end. So just something to keep in mind as you go forward. I think there's plenty of loot dropping this episode, right? There's a lot of ways to get the episodic weapons you can get. I've got numerous of the shiny regular versions so far, and they're pretty good. I've gotten some decent rolls as well, which is also nice. And so because of that, I think that is a good chase. You can use, like I said, the Tomb of Want. You can do base Nether. And I'm sure that as we get later on in the episode, whether it's Act 2, Act 3, or even maybe before then, things are going to shift a bit in the way we are able to farm some of this gear as well. So keep that in mind. I think every season and episode so far, we have been able to farm the weapons for the season significantly faster and easier towards the end of the episode. Plus, all of them will be available by that point. There are some weapons that are not available until Act 2 and 3 of the episode as well. So that's also something to keep in mind. But overall, I would say at least try the expert version. Don't be scared because it says that. Yes, there are champions, but no, it's not that difficult, especially if you have a decent build or use some of the healing cheese that is available in the game right now. But if you want to be efficient and try to get some rolls of your favorite weapons, get the God roll, get the double perk rolls that you want, and you really want that secondary origin trait as well, expert is probably not going to be the way to go right now. And that's kind of unfortunate because I really want to farm expert. Personally, I think it's not that bad, especially with the builds that I've been rocking. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like the video as always, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed. Again, let me know if you disagree or if you will be farming the expert version in the comments down below. My name is Jopa. Have a good one, and I will catch you all later.